Hi guys, Phil here with a quick update about my Quinta lecture on the All About the Trick series at thesuccessfulmentalist.com. A few people have contacted me with questions about the Quinta lecture, and also they've been bombarding Ashley and Aidan at the Successful Mentalist with the same question. So here's the thing about Quinta. It's not a brand new method. I've had it in play for about a decade and I use it all the time, and I've taught it in lots of different places. So the question people have been asking is this: if you're already familiar with the Quinta method, how much value are you going to get from the Quinta lecture that I'm doing for the successfulmentalist.com? Obviously, the first part of the lecture is going to be about getting people up to speed with the method. If you've never encountered Quinta before, it's a universal forcing method that you can use to force absolutely anything. And for me, the most important thing in the lecture is going to be making sure that people who don't know the method, by the end of the 45 minutes, are not only have a whole load of different material that they're going to be able to use with it, but they're already comfortable with exactly how it works. When you finish the 45 minutes, you will be able to do Quinta, you will be able to force absolutely anything, anytime, anywhere. But like I said, you may already be able to force absolutely anything, anywhere, anytime, etc., etc. So what else are we going to be covering? Well, like I said, I've been using Quinta since I introduced it in the original yokai text, and it's undergone a lot of changes, updates, refinements, and developments since then. Almost everything about how I perform using Quinta and how I teach the method has changed since I first started, not least because I've taught probably thousands of people around the world how to do it. So maybe you're familiar with the method, but you've never felt comfortable using it under live fire. Hopefully by the end of this process, when you've understood the exact way that I use it, and I make it as easy as possible for myself, you'll be 100% confident about using it for real people in the real world. But Phil, what if I already am 100% confident in using it in the real world? Well, I think there's a few things in here that you're going to find quite interesting. I'm going to be talking about 25, which is a new two-phase process which allows you to force absolutely any object in a very fair way from any set of 25 items. I'm going to be covering something that I'm super excited about at the moment, which is called Quinta HD, which is a way for you to use your phone to perform Quinta to force anything extremely visually. I really like Quinta HD. I've been playing with it a lot since I came up with the original idea for it. It's very now, it's very modern, it's very memorable for the spectators. I'm going to be talking about this thing that I call the time dilation technique, which is not so much something specifically just to do with Quinta, but it's a way of integrating Quinta with the material that you already do to add an extra level of deception that makes it utterly impossible for spectators to backward engineer. So those are probably the main new additions that we're going to be covering. I've got to admit that the format for the lecture, the All About the Trick lecture that Ashley and Aidan have established at the Successful Mentalist, is really interesting because I could waffle for 4 or 5 hours about Quinta and all of the different bits and pieces, but what they've done is they've demanded that it be 45 minutes of tight tuition, updates. It's intended to be intense and information dense so that everybody gets as much value from it as possible. So there's 45 minutes of tuition, which is going to give you all of the latest versions and updates and ideas that I have about Quinta. And then there's 45 minutes of Q&A, which is going to allow people to ask questions to clarify everything that they've seen. So if there's anything that you see that you don't understand or doesn't 100% make sense, then we'll be able to go through in as much detail as you need within the second 45 minutes to make sure that you are 100% comfortable with using the method and with the new approaches that we've got. So hopefully it's going to be a good mix of stuff that's going to be super useful for people who aren't familiar with Quinta. By the end of it, of course, everybody who sees the lecture is going to be familiar with Quinta, and that's going to be balanced with adding in material that I think is going to be useful for people who are familiar with Quinta so that they can get the latest work that I've put in on the method over the last few years.
I'll be honest, Phil, that sounds amazing, but I suppose the big question that really is on every single person's mind is what happens if they can't make the live lecture on Saturday? Well, don't worry guys, because the lecture and the bonus Q&A is all going to be recorded. The recordings are going to be available in our brand new social learning network. We're making that the hub of magic and mentalism. You're able to log in, create an account. There's a bunch of free events on there, but a subsection of that app will be dedicated to Phil's Quinta lecture. You'll be able to see all the members who actually came to that lecture, so you can chat and jam with them on fantastic new ideas. There's even a brand new activity feed, so you guys can ask questions or maybe share advice to new people coming into the network and purchasing that lecture. It's available on your computer, and you can also download the app and watch everything back on your phone. But that does raise a question. If people aren't at the live lecture, Phil, and they have specific questions for you, well, I've said there's a network on the app. I said there's a community on the app. People are able to engage in the activity feed and see members. will you be on the app? Will you be able to take questions from people after the lecture?
Obviously, I'm going to be there. So if you don't get to see it live and you still have questions, then we'll be able to have a discussion and go through all of the details online and answer any questions that you have. So that's thesuccessfulmentalist.com. Click on the shop bit at the top, scroll down until you see this slightly dour looking picture of me with a shorter beard and a bit thinner because that photo was before lockdown. There's loads of information there. There's some great quotes from people I know who've been using Quinta for years in the real world. Then just hit add to basket and I'll see you there. That's it, waffle over. Stay safe guys, have a great week.